deputy majority leader who represented the speaker. So we had the conversation. Then after then, we went in. They now promised us that they're going to look at it and that before the end of the week, that they are going to get back to us on the way forward on the subject.
Well, some members of LASPGA, Lagos State Parks and Gardens, say that this is not a just cause, that you are embarking, you're more or less like chasing shadows. Do you think that this cause is justified?
Yeah, they are the beneficiary of the illegality that was perpetrated by the Lagos State government. I mean, they are the people that were assembled to take over the operations of RTEAN. Not just the operation of RTEAN in the motor park, no, but they took over the offices of RTEAN. They took over their vehicles. The day they went there, they carted away huge sums of money. They took away their documents. They even took away 2 buses that belongs to Trade Union Congress of Nigeria. As I speak to you today, those buses, these same people are using those buses in Lagos. And they have been generating funds from it. So who account for that? So this is a clear-cut illegality. So I did not expect anything less from them because they are the beneficiary of the illegality.
So the first protest, you took it to the government house. This one you took to the legislature. Are you planning to take the next one to the judiciary?
No, because judiciary actually gave us, just a little rundown. It was in September last year that RTEAN was proscribed. So when that happened, we had the option of protesting. We had all the options in our toolbox. But we looked at it that no, because of a political temperature as at then, it will not be good for us to hit the street, not to hit up the environment. So we decided to approach the court. So we went to court. So when we got to the National Industrial Court in Lagos, I think May 22nd this year, if I can remember vividly, there was a judgment. And in that judgment, it was explicitly stated that the Lagos State government does not have the right to proscribe trade union, because trade union is under the under the exclusive list, not concurrent or residual list. So because he's in the exclusive list, so he's a preserve of the Federal Ministry of Labor, who is a ministry under the federal government and not the state. So they don't have the right to do it. So when that judgment came as a then, so we wrote to Lagos State government to say that, please, implement this judgment. They refused. So that was why in June we did that protest. Yeah, because the judiciary actually gave us the award. So there is no point going back to the judiciary. But they've appealed. Yeah. So that appeal actually came sometime in June. I think June 14th or thereabout, or June 16th. So they appealed. So when they appealed, for us, it is okay. But normally, if you appeal, you also ask for stay of execution. So as of today, what they have only done is a notice of appeal. There is no stay of execution. So if you appeal, pending when the result of the appeal comes, you must obey the judgment of a lower court. We think Lagos State should be much more sophisticated than this, because they have all manner of senior advocates who should tell them how the law should be implemented.
Your union has always said that you're a peaceful union.
Yes, correct.
Now, the Lagos State government acted the way they did because the union, your affiliate, was causing a problem. They said they had issues and were disturbing the area. So what about negotiation? Why go on to carry on this back and forth of rally here, rally there? You've done the first, you've done the second, and you're threatening an indefinite strike.
If you look at it, it's very clear. Remember what we said, that when they were proscribed in September, we had the option of entering the street, right? But we decided that we will not do that. We decided that we will go the path of litigation. So that is responsibility. That is a trade center that understands the temperature of the country, a patriotic trade center. So when we looked at it, we went to the court. But today we have a court judgment. So the question is that why are they not implementing the court judgment today? So what else can we do? When we've gone to court, they have refused to obey. We drew their attention to it.
You can't go back to the court?
We drew their attention to, yes, we are also doing that as well. We are also doing that to file contempt of court as well. Yeah, we are also exploring that as well.
But there's a statement from the state secretary of that same Lagos State Parks and Garden Authority, Alhaji Abdulrahman Amusan, who says that, he says categorically that that judgment of the 18th of April by the National Industrial Court does not by any means affect the creation of LSPGA. He says, as a matter of fact, there's still a pending case at the Court of Appeal which is part of what you stated here. So you're saying, contrary to what he says, that your position is the right position.
Yes, because what they said is that you cannot proscribe the union. So you can set up anything you want to set up as Lagos State. You can manage your park or whatsoever. Anyhow you want to manage, it's fine. But you cannot proscribe an existing union. That is actually our cry. So if he is saying that, I mean, the court did not make any pronouncement against them, I don't have any issue about that. I'm not a lawyer, I'm an engineer. But all I understand from, I mean, reading the judgment was that you cannot proscribe an existing union. So, and do you know what will happen in Yota? Most of these state government, what they do is that if they want to do proscription, like in this case, even what is happening today in RTEAN, they have a way of sponsoring people internally to just cause some level of rancor to give them that opportunity of proscribing.
Doesn't that speak to the disunity in your camp if they are, according to you, they are sponsoring people internally to disrupt your activities?
Yeah, these people could be both internal and they could also be external as well. I mean, you cannot have a body of tens of thousands of people that you could not have one or two persons that could be willing to be used. It's normal in every organization. So we are not saying that everybody that belongs to RTEAN, that they are all saints. No. But there could be one or two that could be used. If you look at the case of RTEAN, they even bring people, sponsor people externally to cause a problem, to give them an avenue to proscribe, which clearly is not in the law. If you want to do it, you must follow the provision of the Nigerian Constitution and the Trade Union Act.
There's a twist here. That statement that he signed. He says, we need to state very emphatically that the suspension of Road Transport Employers Association, RTEAN, in Lagos was orchestrated by we, the members in Lagos. The Lagos State members were tired of Alhaji Musa Mohammed's leadership, reckless and unholy behaviors, abuse of office, divide and rule, among which he brought retrogression to the body. All of this built up dislike for him led to the fracas, which cost many lives that occurred at Yanoba in Lagos. He says, this crisis is what prompted the Lagos State government to intervene so as not to allow the situation to degenerate into breakdown of law and order. He went on. So trying to say, look, it wasn't Lagos as people blame it. It was they internally that actually took that decision.
You know, Chamberlain, like as I've said, these are beneficiaries of the illegality. So he can come up and state anything they wish to state. But ours is this. When the case was in court, they made this, I mean, they presented this before the judge. They presented this before the court. But at the end of the day, what did they get from it? So that is our own. Our own is respect the law. We are not banana republic. We are countries that are governed by laws. So for us, respect the law, lift the ban on RTEAN, and evacuate their office. Because today, they are taking over their office. Like I said, what is the business of TUC, for example, that the buses that we own, that RTEAN is managing for us, the bus were carted away. And today, these same people are using that bus in Lagos. Does the bus belong to them? The answer clearly is no.
Is the police aware of this particular case?
Yes, they are fully aware. They are fully aware.
Are they taking any action about it?
Yes, you know, they told us that they will get back to us. We've lost complaints. We have told them that our buses, in fact, we went to the IGP's office to tell them that our buses are being used by this set of people. We are law-abiding people. We cannot attack them on the street, or we cannot forcefully gain possession of that bus. We want the law to take its course.
Because we did reach out to Lagos State government, by the way, and they're not able to make the program. So because they kept on saying, this same narrative that we see here, we've appealed. But you're insisting, if there isn't any stay, they have to obey the court decisions. But
absolutely.
I guess we'll see what transpires moving forward. But before we go on to the next one, let's go to Ayo. He's got questions for you as well. Go ahead, Ayo.
Thank you, Chamberlain. Let me ask you, Mr. Sifo, first of all, from your reading, what is the body language of the Lagos State government as far as you are concerned? Do you think there is any intention to resolve this issue in any particular way, or you think the government is just calling the bluff of labor?
Yes, from what we are hearing, that the Lagos State government it's a bit not in charge, that there are some powers above that are actually calling the shots, some powers above that have hands in what is happening in Lagos. That's so that the Lagos state government clearly is helpless as far as this subject is concerned. But how true is that is left for Lagos state government to tell us. But officially, what they have put out there officially, for us, it's not correct. You know, in June, when we had that the engagement. So the Secretary General of Trade Union Congress of Nigeria had several meetings with representatives of Lagos state government, and the facts were labeled. And from the Lagos state government as at then, they actually said, I mean, they were represented by the permanent secretaries. The permanent secretary, Ministry of Transport. We just heard that the permanent secretary was redeployed yesterday. That was the permanent secretary we'll be having meetings with. You know, as at then, they're already commissioners as at June in Lagos. So 2 permanent secretaries were meeting with us. One of them was the permanent secretary, Ministry of Transport. So we sat down, we had some conversations. So we have a seeming way forward. But we waited for a while. No implementation, nothing was done. Because after that meeting, they told us that the Lagos state governor as then was in Morocco. That so when he comes back, that they are going to sit down with him and table before him the resolution that we reached on the way forward. So we kept reaching out to them. There was really no proper response. That was what necessitated the neck of TUC to now direct the protest that took place yesterday in Lagos. So as of today, officially what they have put out there is that they have appealed, and that is what we'll go with. But on the sideline, we are hearing that a lot of powers that be are preventing even the state governor from doing what is right. How true is that? It's left for them to answer.
Well, I find that curious as well, but do you think, is that tenable for you, that there are some powers that are limiting a legitimate constitutional authority from keeping the peace in the state in which they are supposed to have authority? How reasonable, how sensible is that for you? Is that acceptable?
Yes, Ayo, like I said, I just said what is there in the corridor. But as an institution, we will stay with the official position of a Lagos state government that stated that they have appealed, so we should lay down the sword. But we are saying that a notice of appeal or a filing of an appeal is not the same thing as stay of execution. So for the other one, we are hearing from the corridor, we leave that. It's left for Lagos state government to come tell us whether it is true or not. But from what they have said officially, for us, it is not tenable because we have consulted our lawyers and they told us that that is not the way to go.
Okay. Well, this other curious issue on this particular matter. So Labour has, TUC has gone out for this protest. What did it produce for you, and what are the options after this?
Yes, for us in TUC, we would be, we have had a protest yesterday, so we are waiting for the response. Like I said, we met with officials of the state legislature, and they told us that they are going to get back to us before the end of the week. But again, we'll be holding our organs meeting today. We'll be holding the National Administrative Council meeting today, as well as the NEC meeting of TUC today, and we will also chart the way forward.
Well, just to be clear, what are the options in the books? And we're not asking you to tell us what you've decided to do, but what are the other options, on the table for the Congress in the event that things don't come from the state government as you expect?
Yes, as trade unions, like what we've always said, if they invite us for meetings today, for example, or invite us for meeting tomorrow, we are available to attend such meetings. But if we are not invited to have a conversation, or if there is no pronouncement from the Lagos state government, we have several options. One, which we have already briefed our lawyers to also approach the court and file for contempt. Then that is option 1. Then option 2 is also for us to declare an indefinite strike in Lagos. And if we do that, we could also further escalate, upward. But majorly, we are going to zero in on Lagos to ensure that they do what is right.
Are there other states in the nation that you are having a similar issue? I remember in a meeting with the Minister of Labor and Employment, the NLC president cited a similar situation happening somewhere else in the country. I'm not sure which state, maybe somewhere in the north. Is that something you are aware of? What's the details of that if you are?
Yes, as of today, we have Lagos State started it, then Oyo State also followed, as well as Ekiti. But in those ones, we are in court with them. So because we are in court, we just kept that okay, let's follow the legal process. But because we felt that in Lagos, we already have a pronouncement, then we must push them to implement the pronouncement of a court, except a higher court decides otherwise. So in those other states like Oyo and Ekiti, as of today, there are litigations going on in that regard.
All right. But then, as you are in court with these state governments and have these issues with these state authorities, so does the TUC also have with the federal government as well. And those who would wonder whether or not you are not spreading yourself thin.
Yes, Ayo, thank you so much for thinking for us. Yes, clearly, you know, the times we're in a perilous times. We are in a time, we are in a particular period that things are relatively difficult because we're having it from both ends, both from some state government and also the federal government. Yes, but we need to do what we have to do because for us, we will not say because there is a particular issue at the federal level, then when we have, you know, issues that are threatening the corporate existence of trade union in a particular state, then we have to wait to solve one before another. But just note that we have the capacity to be able to multitask and look at these issues simultaneously, and that we will surely do.
So what's the update with the federal government at this time? We are hearing in some quarters that certain promises have been made, that even the Minister of Labor, I think it's somewhere on the front pages this morning, that any moment from now there's going to be announcement of wage salary awards or wage awards or whatever it is to be announced by the federal government. What's the update on that? What do you know, and what are the other options on the table concerning that issue?
Yeah, Ayo, in the last meeting we had with the Ministry of Labor, so they told us the same thing, that the president was out of the country and that when he comes back, they believe that he will make a pronouncement. But I saw it as we were doing the review this morning, that he said the pronouncement will come soon. But again, we are really tired of soon. We want a definite pronouncement, and we want definite solutions to these lingering issues, because at the end of the day, we've been hearing of dates. We've been hearing if you come today, if you come tomorrow or next tomorrow. We are relatively tired of promises. All we want is action. Because again, Nigerians are tired of lots of meetings. They are tired of lots of promises. What we want is concrete action. If, for example, the Minister of Labor, as of yesterday, is making a pronouncement on behalf of the president. He should also have the mandate. The fact that the president went to hunger doesn't necessarily mean that governance must be grounded. We have the vice president who was back home in the country. So at the end of the day, our expectation was that you reach out to the vice president, because they also told us that they had a meeting between the SGF, the Minister of Labor, and the vice president. So we expected that anywhere the president is, they could reach out to him. This is an era of information technology, and they could have reached out to him and at the end of the day make a categorical statement. So we are tired of promises and promises. And our organ will be meeting today to also do some level of reviews.
Just a quick one on that issue before we move on to some other things. I could see that in that report that we showed just now, yourself and the president of the NLC are there, but then it seems that sometimes you sing from different hymn sheets. Exactly what is going on? There are meetings you attended that NLC didn't, there are meetings NLC attended that TUC didn't, so give us an understanding. Is there a crack in labor?
No, I can assure you and I can assure Nigerians that there is no crack in labor. Yeah, we could approach issues differently, but our objective is actually the same. Like as I've always said, that we have a toolbox. In that toolbox, we have consultation, we have pressing, we have pushing, we have strike, we have protest. They are all within that toolbox. But the question is, what is the objective? So the objective is actually the same. I assure Nigerians that in the coming days, they will fully realize that there is no crack whatsoever within the ranks of labor.
So okay. Will NLC in the future join TUC on RTEAN in this protest about Lagos if need be?
Yes, of course. In fact, before we went to the protest, we actually had conversation with the NLC leadership as well. So even in the protest yesterday, we have a few NLC people, they were out there with us. So at the end of the day, it's collaboration.
How transparent is the labor unions themselves in making all these demands for government? Because that's one of the issues that a lot of people have. Labor in itself is not transparent and not poor in maintaining that transparency and accountability to the people.
So I want you to delve further on what you meant by transparency in this regard.
In this regard,
yes, please.
For instance, you continue to ask for the same things when the government continues to tell you that we're having issues with revenue, we're having issues with funds, we're having issues, and yet labor continues to demand. Can't labor move on to others, for instance, say, okay, these issues, this infrastructure, how about building this, how about doing that? But labor is asking for instance, what's that thing, what's that?
Wage award.
Wage awards.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Inyota. You know, in our submission to the government, we had short-term, medium-term, and long-term solutions. Inyota, people will not be dying. People will not be sleeping in offices. As I speak to you today, there are some ministries that people come to work. When they come to work, they literally come in on Monday. They remain there till Friday because they cannot pay transportation back home. So we will not say, okay, government, go and build infrastructure that you would build in the next 4 or 5 years that may even, tarry for a while for those people to keep sleeping in their respective offices. That was why we said there are some quick wins. There are some things you could do in the immediate to cushion the effect, but that will not solve the long-term problem. So there are some things you could do in the medium term. Then in the long term, those are the areas of infrastructure. Those are the areas, things about road, about power, about mass housing. Yeah. That is for the long term. So in terms of finance, they told us, Ineota, they were everywhere. They told us that they were going to make some savings when subsidy is finally removed. So all we are saying is that the savings that you have told Nigerians, that you have told the world that you want to make, spend some of this money in cushioning the effect in the immediate and spread the others, I mean, between the medium and the long term. I think that's not too much to ask for.
All right, we'll talk a little more about some of these matters when we come back in just a moment. Stay on with us. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We're taking a look at the protest that TUC, RTEAN organized in Lagos yesterday. We did reach out to authorities in Lagos where they are not able to attend the program today. We're hoping that they may make it at some point during the week. But Mr. Sifo, the meeting that you claim or say TUC will be holding today, will they also review the way state governors are distributing these palliatives they received 2 billion naira for?
Yes, if you remember the last time I was here, I said in your sister's program, PoliticsToday, that we've set up a task force across the 6 geopolitical zones to collate reports from each of the states and report back. So this is going to be part of what will be presented to the NEC today for us to know where are we on these subjects. So across the various states, we'll take reports to know where are we relatively. Just as we've said, palliatives are palliatives. Palliatives solve the immediate problems. But there are long-term problems that will come as a result of this as well.
Is that what you're asking for? You want to see the long-term solutions?
Yes, both short, medium, and long-term. We need to know them. Today, provide the short-term measure. Provide them today. Then tell us, let's have a roadmap for the medium and the long term. That is all we have been asking for. We cannot tell government that fixed power today, for example. No, it will not work. But let's know, what are your roadmap between now and the next 2, 3, 4 years? What are your strategies to get power fixed? What are your strategies for mass housing? What are your strategies to revamp education? These are long-term things. These are not things that could be done in the immediate. But we are saying immediately, provide the palliatives, but in the short and medium term, show us the framework of what you can do.
Are you going to be asking for, like, the templates, the list, the basis for which state governors are distributing? Would that list, should it be made public, for instance, for everybody to see?
Yes, for transparency, it should be. if you remember the very first day that the president removed the subsidy when we came here, when they were talking about conditional cash transfer, we asked a lot of questions. You cannot transfer money to ghosts. You cannot go and pick a register. Let's even assume that the register was 100% okay as at when the Buhari government was doing the conditional cash transfer. Between that period and now, a lot of people may have died, some may have moved from that low income earning group to medium income earners like that. So have you sanitized our register? But again, we don't also believe that even the register that was used then was even in a good state. We don't believe that at all. Because if you, we told them, why can't you break this register into local government? You break it into wards. You break it into units so that you paste it online. So I could go and check. I know people in my unit, at least I know people in my ward. I could check online. Okay, Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C, okay, their names are there. Yes, are they really poor? The answer is yes. With that, you could demonstrate some level of transparency. So we said that the states, you are distributing palliatives, but today, how are you doing it? In some areas, they are inculcating civil society. In some states, they are inculcating civil societies, inculcating labor, and is relatively transparent.
How many?
But in lots of other states.
Is TUC or labor part of, how many states would you say you're part of now?
Maybe, I think we need to look at the report clearly today, but overall, I'm not sure it's more than 10 to 15% of the states. Yeah.
You know, one of the Minister for Works was quoted as saying that some civil servants are hindering his work, as in frustrating the work he wanted to do. I mean, it's in the media space. But I put that out there to ask this question. Is it possible that some of your affiliates might be hindering the progress that government might be making in the area of development and getting some of these things sorted?
It is the function of government to make things work. Okay. Is it function of government to make things work?
Some of your members to frustrate them?
No, if any of our members is trying to frustrate government, it's the function of government to, consequence management. You bring them out. We will never defend any of our members that is doing anything wrong. We will not, come here to defend any of our members that clearly is not following the procedure or not following the processes. When they are caught, we've had some members who have committed some infringements here and there. We support the system, both management and government, to discipline them, as long as you follow the laid down procedure. So if there is any of our members today that is frustrating the process, it's the responsibility of government to bring them out, it's the responsibility of government to discipline them and ensure that the process keep going.
So, but the unions can't call their members to order to say, these are the demands we are putting out there. So you, being members of this union, need to align yourself this way, that way, that way. Is that
we do that every now and then. If you could, I can take Pengassan, for example, which by God's grace I lead as well today. When the issue of oil theft came, when we did a rally sometime last year across the Federation. So when we did that rally, we held meetings with ourselves, and we told ourselves that we must. In fact, there is a portal that was created as a day by NAPIMS, a subsidiary of NNPC, that you could report, issues of oil theft. And we encourage our members to do what is right, and also when they see anything, they must report via that portal. So we as union, we do that. But unions, we don't have security. We may not have as much intelligence as government has, because they have the DSS, they have the police, they have the army and all that. So they have more intelligence than us. So if they tell us that, okay, XYZ of your members are doing this, and they show us some level of evidence, we will support them for such members to be disciplined. But on our own, we preach it every now and then. We do.
So you're saying show some level of evidence. What if there's no hardcore evidence? Would you ask any questions at all?
No. If there is no hardcore evidence, so how do we believe?
Would you bother going into investigation, or you'll be waiting for the government? They must give you evidence before you even begin to investigate.
No. If there is no evidence, then what is government actually relying on? Our government must rely on something. Before you could discipline someone, there are processes and there are procedures. And in most of these procedures, it's clearly stated that you must have prima facie evidence. So if you don't have it, then it could not be in the realm of allegation and speculation.
Okay, so what is TUC or Pengassan's position on Oando's acquisition or to take over this Ajib's 100% stake in Ajib?
Yes, you know, when the news broke out about 3-4 weeks ago that Oando is taking over NAOC. So first of all, we came out. I mean, our members in NAOC across the length and breadth of the country, they went on a strike, and that strike lasted for about 7 days, where production and all that, they were shut. So after that, we were invited by NNPC. So we sat down with them and we put a framework, like a communique in place on how conversations could go on. You know, why did we embark on that strike? Because we felt that as you were going about such acquisition, you did not even inform those that are leading the people. So we were hearing it in the realm of speculation. So all attempts to confirm from the management of AGIP, from the management of NAOC, proved abortive. If you ask them, they will tell you, no, nothing is going on. So for us, when that happened, the shock came and the strike happened. But when NNPC now invited us, we now had a memorandum of understanding that, okay, let us give a 3 weeks time frame. And I mean, it was signed, a 3 weeks time frame whereby NAOC management will now have a conversation with the staff. As we speak now, that meeting, I think the first 1 week, it's gone. They have been locked in a venue, having those conversations on what is going to happen to the staff. Because for us, we don't have real issues on who takes over any company. But the issues we are having with Oando today is that is similar to the issues we have with other indigenous companies in terms of financing. How are you going to finance these assets? Because, Chamberlain, it will surprise you to note that today our crude oil production is declining in Nigeria because a lot of those indigenous companies that is buying the assets heated to operated by the IOCs, they don't have the finance because oil and gas is extremely expensive. Our local banks can only do a little. You need international financiers to be able to even produce one deep offshore well. It's extremely expensive. A rig, for example, in deep offshore operations costs about $1 million per day. And you could have that rig drilling one well for several days. So it's very expensive. So most of these indigenous companies, what they do is that they buy some of these assets, they pay signature bonuses. When they do that, the next thing is that they keep producing. They don't do a lot of operations, like stimulation operations. They don't do well enhancement. So we'll not have an issue. Those wells will start declining. But when the IOCs were managing most of these assets, they have the finances to inject into it, and you could have some stable production. So that is the real challenge that we are having. So those are the conversations that we are also fronting with AGIP Group.
Does that then mean that if that's the kind of involvement you're asking for, that they involve you or show you if they've got the kind of financing needed to acquire that? Is that what you're asking?
No, we cannot ask them. Okay, two things. One, which concerns us principally, is that NAOC is telling us today that, okay, Oando, we are going to roll over your members to Oando. Let Oando take all your members 100%. So what we are asking is that, because we need to be sure that, one, our members had worked with NAOC over these years. Some had worked 30 years, some had worked at the point of retirement. And you are saying that you want to hand them over to the new company. So the question is that the liabilities that has been incurred by AGIP, the pension, the gratuity that you are supposed to pay these people, does Oando have the financial wherewithal to be able to meet those obligations to our members? That is the first thing. Then also, as a patriotic association, we are also asking, Oando, you are buying this. What is your development plan? What is your plan? What is your plan to move it from, because the entire field is producing roughly around 400,000 barrels.
Is that not for NNPC and co to ask that kind of question?
No, we as just as I said, that as patriotic people, as patriotic association, we also ask as well, because the future of our members, you are saying our members should move to you, right? So the future of our members depends on that company being a going concern. If the company falls today, then our members will go home.
So that means the members can say, look, if we are not satisfied with your plans,
yes,
we will not let this happen.
No, we will not say, if you're not satisfied with your plan, okay, now, please, pay us our obligations. We don't want to be transited into Oando. pay us our money, pay us our obligations. I've worked for you for 35 years. I've worked for you for 30 years. Pay me my severance, and let's discuss a special separation package so that I go. If I now want to join Oando, it will now be based on my discretion. So anything I see, I take. But the years I put in AGIP and in NAOC, settle me, let
so
me
what if they say, look, we've done the best we can here. The authorities have sanctioned this deal, so we're going to move ahead.
No, it doesn't work like that, Chamberlain, because you have people that are working in those field locations, the operators working there. You cannot bring people that are dissatisfied to be running your asset. It doesn't work like that. Who is going to run it? Is it the management of Oando that will just come there and start pressing the buttons in the field? No, you need these employees. So you must sit down with them, have a conversation with them as to the way forward.
Indeed, if they insist that they are unable to meet those demands, what happens?
I don't think they will insist. If they insist, they know the consequence. Yeah, because what we are doing now is conversation, is consultation and discussion. But if they insist, they know what the consequence will be. Our members, we will draw our members from the respective field locations.
Ayo.
Quick one on that, because going by some of the issues that you raised with Mr. Sifo, I'm just wondering that going by, what you said about, not having a problem with who takes over any government asset, how come, because there are those who say that sometimes, government, Labour had resisted some efforts like that before. So how come, Labour resisted privatization of the refineries in time past?
No. Ayo, what I said was that, AGIP is a private company. AGIP is not a government company. So AGIP is selling their 20% stake to Oando. So this is from one private company to another private company.
How is it different? Just a second. How is it different?
A government-owned institution to a private-owned institution.
Is Labour against the federal government privatizing the refineries?
I know what we have said. This is what we have said over time. What we have said over time, like Pengassan, for example, we have been at the forefront since 2016. Our advocacy has been that government, get the refinery fixed. When you get the refinery fixed, you bring them immediately, don't operate. You can bring in the private investors and implement the NLNG model. We were the first that started pushing that government should should use the NLNG model where the private owners, we have maximum of
the condition
minimum of 51%.
Yes.
So it could dovetail to about 60%.
Yeah.
Then government and even Nigerians could have the other percentage. So we are not against it.
Sorry,
but what we have said is there is a model that has worked. That's the NLNG model. So go ahead and bring about that model in our refinery.
In the event that does not happen, government is unable to turn around the refineries because, of course, the books are clear about and the papers are rife with efforts to turn around the refineries over time. The Obasanjo government, and you remember he also recorded recently that he called some private sector practitioners to come and take them over as they are. But Labour resisted. In fact, one of the issues that were raised with him, which he recounted recently, is that they said they couldn't take it over because, Shell, I think he mentioned specifically, couldn't take it over because of the corruption in the system. So if the federal government, for instance, says, for these refineries to work as Labour has been advocating, and federal government has not been able to do it because of its ownership, is Labour against the federal government privatizing all and let the private sector practitioner run it the way they want?
As at today, there was a time that BPE did evaluation of those refineries. Ayo, if I tell you the amount of money that BPE put out there that they will sell those refineries, you will shout. They were almost giving it away. I know, we are a patriotic association. So our point is, today, where we are today, I think we should speak more practically. Today, they've told us that the Port Harcourt refinery, the old Port Harcourt refinery, will come on stream by the end of the year. And that by 2024, the newer Port Harcourt refinery will come on stream. So when they come on stream, immediately, bring in the private sector to buy a minimum 51%. When you ask them to, when they buy 51%, they have the controlling entity. You know, when you have 51% at the board level, operations level, you are the one that takes charge. So that has been our advocacy, because the NLNG model has worked, and once it is implemented in the refineries, it will work as well.
All right, so we'll see and hope that well, you're going to have your meeting today.
Yes, correct.
We'll wait for the outcome of that meeting and see where that heads. Comrade Festus Osifo is the president of Trade Union Congress and Pengerson as well. So thank you for coming on, and all the best.
Thank you so much, Ambali.
We're back in a moment. Stay on with us.